Okay, so for assignment 2, we're going to work on the base first. This is going to be the quick version where we can go through and just throw out the terminology, look at the process, and then when we go back through for the instruction, I can fill in everything that I forgot. All right, so I thought maybe I would, break this up, but I think I'll do that as an optional video after. So recommendation, when I look at this, I see this shape as giving me the most geometry in my first pass. So we're going to go with that first. This is in metric, so we get a chance if you have created your templates. I have the part inch and the part metric. I think those are marked back in the list. So if not, do a little searching around, should be able to find those. And it's pretty much as easy as coming down here and saying go to when it catches up. Millimeters, grams, and seconds. If you're in inches, go to millimeters, grams, and seconds. Make sure you do the file save as, and under files of type, select the part document template and save it to whatever location you're using for the new document or the file new. All right, so on the right plane, so it doesn't have to be. If you started on the front plane, it's going to go this way. If I started on the top plane, it's going to go this way. And if I start and I'm talking about the L shape, if I start the L shape, then it's going to go this way. So that's my make it look like the picture, or the picture that I'm visualizing anyway. Front view, right view on the drawing that we just looked at. So we'll go into the line command. I'm going to put the corner at the back lower section, and I'm just going to sketch these out, and I'll come back and put the dimensions in after. So dimension, we have 8. And it auto scales, so whatever it was, a little bit bigger. I'm going to go 40, and then we'll go to 30. All right, this gets extruded out, and when it rotates over to the isometric view, then we get to decide how far. So just quick double check, 160 millimeters on the overall length. We could decide to put it mid, we can reverse it. Not really going to matter all that much. All right, so if we have the fillets in, that would help. But I'm going to go ahead and automatically jumped into the S key, so let me do that again. We can go up to sketch and open up a sketch once that face is selected. Any planar face is going to be valid, so I could draw it from the back, draw it from the front. One of them is going to make sense to you. That's probably the best way to go. So we can go sketch, or probably the faster way is to right click. It rotates into position. I want 2 circles, and they are not at the same level. If you put them at the same level, that's fine. I mean, it's not called out, so there's kind of an assumption there, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal for this part. So 10 millimeters, and I'm going to do the select, control select, make those equal, and we are going to be then with the radius of 12, I'm going to set those center as a general rule. If I do not include the fillets and chamfers in the sketch, they pretty much go in last. So 14 millimeters, and we're going to stay with the 12 off of the end, just so that there's little, and looking at that, might be 16, I don't know. Might not be 40 either, but we'll have to figure that out as well. All right, so this is going to be an extrude cut. Back into the features, extrude. I don't want to do math, so through all or up to next. Through all says if there were 5 more of these, it would find the last one, go through every one of them. Up to next would stop at the next available surface, which is the back of the part. So that much is fine. And going right into the next sketch, going to go with the circle. And let's see, we said that those were going to be 6mm. And again, not on the print, just one that we're figuring out. I grabbed the wrong one, so let's go from the circle. All right, so 2 reasons to grab the perimeter of the circle over the point. First one is it's a bigger target to hit and a lot easier to select. Second one is that if I need a max-min condition, I do not get that under the leaders if I've selected the center point. So if I was reverse engineering and I measured for that whole location, I could say my measurement from here to here is 19.5 based on the tolerance, so 19.4 makes sense, whatever the justification is there. And then we go 7.96 and quick double check that that is to the center. All right, and then our first experience with the linear sketch pattern. I could draw all these out, dimension them individually. That's not a whole lot of fun. So up here on the command manager, we have the linear sketch pattern. The x-axis is what we want, 20mm, and we're going to tell it to dimension the x spacing, and then pay attention that this is the number of instances, not the number of spaces. So depending on which software you're using, there may be some different terminology there. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead, and I don't see the preview. Oh, so I haven't selected anything. So when my screen kind of shrunk down a little bit, I got to remember to go down and make sure to pick the entities, the pattern, if I didn't pre-select it. So we accept that. And features, extrude cut, up to next, and OK. So we're at that point. Let's see, we've got that, just a quick check. So front view would be Control 1, and right click, open up a sketch. Put in the text. You can pick any font that you want. So I said I'm gonna do my name, and we'll use the document font because it's really teeny tiny thing down here. So we'll go into the font settings, find a nice Gothic something or other that nobody can read. Let's go 12mm on the height. Hit OK. And if I move it around, I can just space it. If I want more control over it, then I can draw a center line and utilize the justification. So for our purposes, that's fine. Now the emboss and deboss is terminology, and depending on the font, this may or may not work. So if the font intersects itself, it's not going to be happy. And no, we don't want to do up to next because that's going to generate a body, at least one solid body in there. So it needs to be a blind in condition. Let's see, 0.2mm would be about 8,000 steep, so that looks pretty good. And I want to then go in, I'm going to do the Control Select, or we can select the first one, and on the pop-up will be the fillet, or we come up to the top, and I'm not seeing, there we go, fillet right in front of me. And then when I select the next one, if I wait, it will show me a selection. Okay, maybe not the selection that I wanted. All right, so close, but not really. So I want that one and that one. But if we can get all of that in that pop-up, it is pretty handy to make multiple selections. All right, so we're going to go 12mm and accept. All right, so we have something to get us started. And we'll go ahead and save this and see where it goes. So since I saved the template last, it's going to default to that template location. We certainly don't want to put that in our projects. So I've got to get to my drive location for my assignments, create a new folder, assign 02, and then we'll go into that folder and make a base. Part and save. If you want to put the part number in there, you want to put any of anything else in the description, that's fine. All right, so the next part, do a quick time check there. Part metric, and we're going to scroll down a little bit and pull up the little dog bone shape. So last time I did this as a couple of mirrors, and I think that's still a good process. So if we had a center line between the 2 points, that could be the distance, and then our circles. And if we're picking for the contours and regions portion, then just pretty much see what that looks like. So if I go into the center line, my first center line, vertical, infinite length, and that's just handy because I'm not ever going to run out of center line. Second center line, well, I don't get to use the midpoint very often, or I don't use the midpoint very often, so I do want to illustrate it. We can pick, come out some distance, that'll be 25, but because we have an overall length, it's going to jump to 50 for us. All right, so that was our number, and I lost my drawing. There we go. So that is going to be at the construction or the center line. And we need a couple of circles. And I'm still not entirely in the habit of entering those values as I go. So we have a diameter of 10 and a radius of 9. So that would be 18. And the inside would be 10. And then I want to mirror those across. So select, control select, one more control select to mirror. And then the reason for our center line, our horizontal, is that we can put that in. So I do want to be a little bit careful when I'm picking the arcs because those will snap to the tangency. Looks like it's gotten a little bit better. So since that one didn't quite pick it up, we'll make it do that little jump to coincidence, control select. It's already highlighted, so all I have to do is pick the next item, mirror the entity. All right, and then that one's going to be on the width. Are we missing a dimension? Well, it looks like 10 millimeters, so 10 millimeters it is. All right, so that did not bring up, I don't see anything in blue. The sketch is fully defined, but it didn't fill those in with the regions. So I can trim these out, but I can also just go directly into the extrude. It requires that I select, but it also gives me some options if I decide to do some variation on this. So the thickness is 5. And I want to pick region, region, and region. And that will give me my shape. All right, so last time I trimmed that out as an example, I wasn't satisfied with, so I'll save that as the optional. And we're just going to make this work. So, this one ought to work pretty good with the fillet selection. So I'm already into control select mode. So we said we had to fill it up on the command manager. We can go fill it into the corner. That's going to be a radius of 5. And when I pick the next one, give it a 3 count, and then connect to start. And it's going to show me those other available edges in that selection. All right, so this is the crank. So we're going to pop it in there as the crank. I do not want to redraw this. What I've created is good as it is. Save as. And we want to save as a copy and open. So the crank, well, the next one will be the follower. Hopefully I can spell. All right, the main thing, check up here that it says follower. We can leave the original document. I'm not going to go right into the assembly just yet, so we can close the original document. All right, so in this case, I double click on the boss extrude. I double click on the 50, I change it to 80 and rebuild, and it updates. Okay, if I didn't rebuild, let's see, if I go, let's put that at 50. I could have hit the undo. All right, so in that case, I typed in the 50. Not until I hit the rebuild up here will I get that that value. So I can also, I think I clicked on the extrude. The extrude will give you the thickness as well, where the sketch will give you all of the sketch dimensions. So I'm not even going into the sketch, I'm just making that adjustment, and 80 and enter. And if I don't hit the rebuild in the modify, then I have to hit it in the up on the title bar, or the standard bar. All right, so we want to save. So Control S or hit the save. We're going to do a save as. All right, I always want to do this save as. I think one of the shapes had a good example of that. The follower then goes to the coupler. And then and we'll save the coupler, and then we can make the change. Oh yeah, we gotta wait for it to catch up, and we can close the original document. All right, we'll try that again. Go to 160 for the length. Make sure that I have the coupler up here on the standard toolbar, and one more save. And rebuild and save the document. Oh, and there it updated for me since I didn't do that. We can close that out, close that out. Next new metric part is going to be for the round. Let's fly this back in here. All right, so these two shapes have the 10 and the 5, 17 overall, 5 and 5, 12 overall. If we do that math, 2 millimeters, 2 millimeters. So that all works. It just kind of depends on how we're going to ultimately manufacture these as to which are going to become the critical dimensions. But for now, we'll go with that. So the sketch, going to have a revolve, infinite length, vertical. All right, reverse that, vertical, infinite length. We can go ahead and start our sketch. Up, over, let's see, that one's for the short pin is going to be 5. Oh, okay, yeah, it scaled a little bit unexpectedly. All right, gonna bypass those and then go 5 and bring it back to the center line. And when I'm at the center line, if I don't close this off, it's going to ask me to close it off, or it's going to try to make it a thin feature. We don't want the thin features. So let's get into the dimensions. Let's see, our diameter is 10 and 14. So if I go to the vertical and to the center line, and I did that too quick, so Control Z to get back out of it. All right, so back into the dimension, right click and Smart Dimension, and to the center line. If I stay on this side, I will have the radial dimension, and we go to the opposite side, diameter. So between the object and the center line is radial. On the opposite side, it will give me the diameter. So that is 10. And because I just did a diameter, it's going to say you must want to do another one, so here you go. And in this case, I do. And I could um, come back here and tell it to do the last one, but those are going to share the same dimension, or my intent, design intent, will be that they share the same dimension. So a select, control, select, make that collinear. All right, so this is able to move. If I let it intersect, the regions will go away, or the shaded sketch will go away, and we'll end up with multiple regions. So I need one more dimension, that is the overall. So if we pick the object, I could also pick the top and the bottom. That will give me the 12. Feature, revolve, accept, and then we're gonna go with the pin short. And save it, and then immediately go into the save as, wrong one, save as, copy, and open. And we'll overwrite the short with long. Well, they just call it pin 1, so we're going to go a little more descriptive than that. And we can close the original document, go back into our revolve. Overall is now 17. The lower portion is the 10. Okay, and then rebuild, save. Now we have our parts. Okay, so we'll go back through these. We'll go a little bit slower on the process. Try to catch anything that I missed. Reemphasize some of the points, and then we'll pick up with the assembly after we've built the parts again.